Well, hello, hello. This is your girl, Dr. Breanna Boss James, aka Dr. Boss, founder and CEO of She Bossin' Up, where our mission is to help high achieving professional and entrepreneurial Christian women live their true self so they can honor God in their calling by boldly and unapologetically losing their gifts and talents. Welcome to the Comeback Summit. I tell you what, I am extremely excited about what is happening during these magical days of inspired greatness. There is a wealth of knowledge, and I pray you're soaking it all in and taking notes so you can use what you're learning to bounce back, go deeper, and achieve greater heights of success. Today, as you can see on the screen, we're going to be talking about breaking free. It is all about discovering you. And guess what? It is definitely possible. Now, you hear me talk about breaking free and discovering yourself. It's all about the greater success that you want in your life. And guess what? You can do it. No matter where you find yourself right now, if you have the right methodology, the right formula, and the right support system, it is possible for you to boldly break free from any struggles and setbacks that you have in your life to be the champion that you desire to be. So at this moment, you might be thinking, this lady is completely crazy. I have lived with myself my whole life. I know who I am. I know exactly who I am. Why do I need to discover myself for success? Well, I am glad you're thinking that thought because it's a wonderful thing to know if you're engaging in something that is for you. You may find yourself in a place of complete bliss. All your cannons are firing. You're working at your dream job. You've just launched that business you've been told you should always start. It feels good. Recently married, or for some, recently divorced and super glad about it. Possibly had a baby, or guess what? Your children might be all grown up and they've left the house and everything seems great. Or you might find yourself on the other side of the perspective. It may feel like everything you touch fails. You've been working a job you hate. Your business is giving you the blues. You're looking at your boo, wondering, why in the world am I still with you? And your children, those beautiful little blessings of the Lord, are tap dancing all over your nerves. Within each scenario, if you feel yourself and look deep inside, if you see something is missing, or you see that there's anything that can be better, guess what? This is most definitely for you. When you look around the corner at your current life's existence, if you're wondering how in the world did I end up here? I know I have definitely had that conversation many a times in my life, desiring more, but not actively seeking more, because I really had no clue what I was looking for. And the one thing I know, and I'm sure you know as well, if you ask 100 different people what success is to them, you're most definitely going to get 100 different responses. And most of those responses are going to have a variety of I don't know in them. Because if you don't know who you are, you won't know what you really want to be able to go after it so you can succeed. If you find yourself consistently living up to the expectations of others and don't have a baseline notion of what you want to do for yourself, it's going to be a problem. We humans have been taught the habit of identifying ourselves by what other people say and what other people think that we should do according to what they do. So we don't really know who we are to be able to determine the success that we desire. It's the newfound adult that goes to college to be a teacher or even a lawyer. And they do it simply because everybody else in their family did it. Their dad's a lawyer, their mom's a lawyer. Their brother's a teacher, their sister's a teacher, their uncle's a teacher. So they're going to be a teacher. It's the person who takes over the family business because it's passed down through about 5 or 6 generations and everybody in the family does it. There's no questions asked. This is just what we do in this family. It's the people that decree a thing in your life And you've decided to make it so without a thought, just mindlessly existing, going through life. When you spend your time living up to the expectations of others, you end up taking on way too much. You become the ultimate yes person to everything. I have this one client, and she was all over the place. It didn't matter who came into her life, whatever they were doing, she was doing. That is what she focused on. It didn't matter if it was a new man, a new friend. She flip-flopped all over the place according to those she was closest with. When I asked her, so what do you really want to do with the next part of your life? Where are we going from here? After thinking for a while, she quickly realized she had no idea what she wanted to do because she spent all of her time wanting what others wanted and simply doing what others were doing. She went through the discovery process after a couple of sessions that we had, and she began to uncover the things that she really likes and wanted versus what she was conforming to because that's what was around her. By the end of 90 days, I was so proud. Her life was on a whole nother trajectory. She began to live her life for herself, for her dreams, her goals, her desires. And at this point, the only one she seeks to please is the Lord Jesus. And so she was living her life quite happily. And when you're taking on too much at one time, you're going to cause confusion in your life. And guess what? We don't live in confusion. We live in clarity. Now, this right here is also for you. Whether you're working, whether you own your own business, if you feel as though you're not being paid what you're worth, let me tell you, discovering yourself is going to take you to a level that you can't even begin to comprehend. There's a lady that I know. She is fabulous at her job. When I tell you she rocks it out, she rocks it, and everybody knows it. The problem is everybody knows it, but her. She has a perpetual habit of allowing herself to be underpaid, on her job because she doesn't truly realize the depths of who she is and what she offers. On her job, she was actually given double the workload. Somebody left, and she ended up with double the workload. And not once did she say anything about increasing her pay. Why? Because this other reason right here. She lacked confidence in herself. It's apparent to everyone else around her, especially the job, that she's talented and valuable, or they wouldn't have given her the extra work. But because she doesn't understand her talent and her worth, she accepted it instead of demanding what she deserved. Now, we had a few sessions, and after taking some time to ask some good questions and discover who she is and her value and her worth, she gave me a call and she let me know that she boldly went into the office. She let them know that she deserves to get paid more for what it is that she's doing because she does this and she does that. And I come in late and I mean early and I stay late and I just do and I do whatever you ask. And I mean, she went on and on and on with the accolades of herself because she finally got it. And guess what? They gave her an increase. They thanked her for what she's doing and for working there as long as she had been. And they were actually really glad at that time to go ahead and give her the increase. You see, when you discover yourself, your confidence increases and you do more of what you want and you start to really go after what you want. Now, I've just been here talking and you might really be wondering, who is Breanna James? Well, first and foremost, if you can't tell already, I am the daughter of the Most High God. Jesus Christ is my big brother and my Lord and Savior, and I appreciate him. All that I am and all that I do is because of God's glory, and I like to manifest that in my life and help to manifest that in the life of others. Born and raised in Oakland, California, the Bay, loving it. The weather is very crazy. It is the most blissful place that you can live. Indeed expensive, but it's blissful. I am the boss auntie and the beautiful godmother of 6 beautiful daughters. and I have 2 grandgoddaughters. As my mother says, I have no children of my womb, so God has blessed me to have nieces and nephews and children that I can borrow so that I can show the example to. Because the one thing that I notice, especially with children, they too, just like adults, suffer from lack of confidence in themselves. I mean, I know I talked one of my daughters through a whole scenario when she was in what was that, middle school, and playing volleyball and not feeling like she was good enough as the other girls and struggling with that and having a real hard time with that. And I let her know as we would practice that, girl, you were rocking it out. You are doing better than you think you are. You just need to go all in and commit yourself to what you're doing, and you'll get it done. And of course, she took Godmommy's advice and she definitely got better. My historical background in terms of employment is human resources. So I have seen all of anything that one can think of seeing on the job. I mean, from an employee blatantly, fraudulently using the company credit card to buy an expensive, elaborate hotel and vacation stay and sign their name to it, all the way down to an all-out brawl in the break room. I mean, I have seen it all. So there is nothing that anyone can put past me in terms of what's done in life and how people go in life. It's just a wonderful blessing to have that background. And as an entrepreneur, an author, a coach, and even a trainer, that has been the biggest blessing that I've had and that I've, in terms of my career, because I've been able to see all vantage points of success and failure. I've been able to see other people grow and develop, and it is just amazing what you can do when you really set your mind to do a thing and you grow in yourself. So that's just a little tidbit about me. But the one thing that I'm excited about that I do about myself that I encourage everyone to do is to have a hobby. Let me tell you what, this expresses who I am to my core. I love art, period. And so cake decorating and baking is my ultimate hobby. I call it a paid hobby because somewhere at some point people started paying me to do a thing. So it's now my paid hobby. But it is a pastime that I do whether I get paid or if it's free. I love it. I'm able to express myself artistically, and it's relaxing and it's fun. So if you don't have a hobby right now, I'm going to encourage you, as you begin to discover yourself starting today, throw a hobby in there. Find something that you like to do, relax yourself out, have fun in it. It's very important to have those pockets and moments in between work and all the necessities of life where you can just relax and have fun and do and be you. Remember, that's what we're here to do today, is to discover you. And it's so you can know you, be you, and do you. So the next big question you might have for me is, Bree, why? Why are you even doing this? And for me, it's extremely simple. I want to honor God with my life. When I reach the end of my existence on earth, I want to die completely poured out. Every gift, every talent used to help as many people as I possibly can thrive in their life and to pour themselves out also. Miles Monroe always used to say that the wealthiest place on earth is a cemetery. I need my gravesite to be completely broke. Dirt poor, zero value put there, nothing but skin and bones. I have a God-inspired purpose to live out daily, and I want to help transform the lives of millions. And I'm not stopping until that purpose is fulfilled. And I'm encouraging you to do the same thing. Live your life to be poured out, because you too, you have a gift that you will use, that you're here to design to help the world. And that is why I'm here. That is why you hear me talking today, why I do what I do in life, period. Because it's just so important that as I went through my life, something had to be different. You know, you go through life and it's just very mundane. You wake up, you do your life, you go to sleep, and you feel that there's a lack of purpose. In my life, there has to be purpose. And at some point, I woke up and just had to consider, why? Why am I doing what I'm doing? And I alluded to this a little earlier in the presentation. So picture it, the day that changed my life. I woke up one morning, 2017. I looked around the good room and I began to think to myself, this cannot be my life. I'm grown, like grown. I'm highly educated. I've owned my own homes. I've been taking care of myself since college. This is absolutely not where I'm supposed to be. And this is where I found myself. I was back living with my mother in the old bedroom that I grew up in. I was engaged to be married, and that was called off. I was working at a blog job simply to pay bills. And that is absolutely not where I should have been, because a job is not a part of my purpose. And literally, I know it's not a part of my purpose because every job I get gets worse than the previous one. I was simply suffering for a check. It's horrible. I wasn't thriving in life, let alone living. I was barely existing. Wasn't happy, no energy, out of shape, in complete denial, wondering how in the world I ended up back in my childhood bedroom with what felt like nothing but heartache, failure, and discontent. I wasn't where I wanted to be, and I surely was not anywhere close to where I should have been according to the purpose that I know God outlined for me. And it was at this point that I began to ask myself a series of very powerful and very vulnerable questions. You see, we humans tend to ask ourselves very shallow questions and don't dig deep inside to uncover how we made a contribution to the all-out massacre of our own success and progression. Because the reality was failure after failure, setback after setback. That wasn't caused by anyone else. I alone was the hitman responsible for the assassination of my dreams, goals, and desires. It was just me, because I'm responsible for what I do with my life and for what I allow in my life. So it was just me. And guess what? When I finished that painful, and I mean very painful, Q&A session with myself, the most rewarding and profound moment of my life occurred. But see, you don't really know what you're doing in your life until you stop and analyze what you're really doing in your life. It's about living intentionally. And I realized that I clearly wasn't living for myself, and that I wasn't even living for God like I kept saying I was. I was living for the satisfaction and the appeasement of other people. What they want, when they want, how they want. It didn't matter if it's what God wanted for me. If I liked it, it didn't matter. It was what people wanted, because that's what I was trained to do and developed to do. I was an all-out bona fide people pleaser and didn't even realize it. Now, generally speaking, there's nothing wrong with pleasing people. The issue in the scenario was that I lost myself in the pleasing, and I even put God in second place when I was doing it. Any decision that is made should be made according to the Lord first, and everything else falls in line after that. If someone wants something from me and it goes against the word of God, or it makes me feel completely uneasy, they shouldn't get that thing from me. And guess what? That's what was happening. So when I came to myself, if you will, I made the decision to stop being who people wanted me to be and to start doing what it is that I wanted to do and living wholeheartedly for God. I stopped being shallow with the Lord and allowed him to take control of my life and put his word first place and made it the final authority. And then guess what? When I really took the time to discover myself and where I was, that decision led me to that one area that I talked about earlier, to stop living up to the expectations of others. It is up for me and God as to what I do with my life. It is such a freeing blessing to live like that. Because the reality is, people come and they go. I live with myself and God every single day, and I want to be fabulously free and not weighed down by the ever-changing mandates that people give you. Now, don't get it twisted. I am very much called to help people and to be of service to others. Hence, why you're listening to me now. I enjoy being of service. I'm just not going to do it to the point where I ignore myself or kick God to the curb. This was the most liberating moment of my life. It led me to discovering my authentic self and helped me to start truly living out my God-given purpose. And so now, guess what? It's your turn. It is your time to discover who you are so you can know you, be you, and do you, not anybody else. You want to do you so you can achieve greater success. We're going through 3 simple steps that's going to help propel you into this self-discovery. So if you already don't have one, go grab your pen and your paper. You should already have it now. When you're in any training, you want to have your pen and your paper on deck. So we're going to go ahead through these 3 steps. And they're going to go, and they're going all in, holding no punches. The first one, as you see, step 1, stop with all the lies. Yes. Stop lying to yourself, front like everything is okay when it's not. Now, you might have expected something a bit fluffier than that, but I'm not fluffy. I'm real. Know that what I'm saying in all love and in all respect. Now, if you don't get anything out of what you're hearing on today right now, please know your self-deception is not helping you. It's hindering everything about your life. The realest thing that you need to know and you need to understand in life, hear me clearly, it's okay to not be okay. You just don't want to dwell in the perpetual state of not being okay. You're human. You go through life, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the beautiful. You simply need to learn how to navigate through all the mess. The moment you stop lying to yourself is the moment you can grow and develop and really start to thrive in life, to go hard after what you want, because you'll be honest with yourself about what you want and what you don't want and when you want it. Case in point, I'm going to tell you, I'm just putting all my little business out there. You see, I had to stop lying to myself after my engagement ended and realize that I am completely good with being single and having no children of my own womb. Everyone, and I mean everyone, consistently to this day asks, when are you going to settle down? When are you going to have a family? Now, reality, yes, I do desire to have a family, married, kids, the whole 9. But I really do sincerely want to do other things in my life first. I want to pour myself out in my business and my other areas of my life. So that way, once I've satisfied all that, I can focus on my family and not have to worry about my own selfish desires. I think it's a win-win. I get everything off my plate that I want to get off my plate and off my chest, and my family gets all of me, and everything is set up ready to go. I mean, it's just beautiful. It took me a while to own that notion and that path. I had to dig really deep and become truthful with myself and to stop caring that other people thought I should do something different. The author and holistic educator, Eric Leventhal, said the closer you come to knowing that you alone create the world of your experience, the more vital it becomes to know, to discover who is doing the creating. You must know you. Your thoughts and your actions are creating the life you live. You want to make sure that you have the right thoughts and actions behind your creation. If you're listening to me right now, which you are, but if you recognize that the wrong thoughts and actions have been creating your life, it's now time for you to make a change. And step 1 of that change, stop lying to yourself. Be real with you. If you can't be real with anyone else, you got to be real with you. Step 2, excuses. No more excuses. Excuses are horrible little creatures that will hinder everything you do in life. You want to discover who you are? You got to let go of all the excuses. Back in college, while pledging Alpha Angel, we learned the greatest little quote that I can ever think of in my life. The author is unknown, but the quote says, "Excuses are tools for the weak and incompetent, used to build monuments of nothingness. Those who make frequent use of them seldom succeed in life." Now, it's a great thing to not amount to nothingness. It's time for you to ask questions of yourself. Why do you do what you do? Why do you wear the clothes that you wear? I mean, these are real basic things that you start with. Why do I have the friends that I have? Why am I in the career that I'm in? Now, after you go through the basic shallow questions, then it's time to dig deep and ask yourself some of the harder questions to see why you are where you are and what you've contributed to in your life. What are my reasons for not going after my dreams? What do I talk about doing but never do? I don't even take steps towards them. Why am I allowing myself to be paid less than what I'm worth? Why do I settle for just enough instead of striving for more? The answer to these types of questions can sometimes hurt, but like the word says, the truth shall make you free. Step number 3, the final step, is embracing your true self. So one of my favorite stories in the Bible is of David and Goliath. David at the time was a teenager who was responsible for watching his father's sheep. He recently was anointed to be king over Israel, but at the time, he wasn't supposed to reign yet, so he remained faithful in his position as shepherd, okay? During this time, Israel was at war with the Philistines, and one day, while tending the sheep, David's father asked him to go down to the battlefield to take his brother some food. When David arrived, everyone that was supposed to be trained and fit for battle, they were all afraid of the giant Goliath. David hears Goliath talking all sorts of mess about the children of Israel and his God, the living God. And because he knows who God is and who he is in God, he took that personally disrespectful and proclaimed that he would be the one to kill Goliath. Now, super sidebar, my favorite part of the story is that before he went and publicly made this claim to the king, he first asked the reward that he would receive for being the one to slay the giant. It's very important. When you know who you are and what you're capable of, you can determine the reward you get for doing the job that you're going to do. It's a beautiful thing. Now back to the story. So David enjoyed the fact that he was going to get the rewards he was going to get. So he went up to King Saul and proclaimed that he would fight the giant. And of course, since he was a young teenage boy, Saul looked at him and pretty much laughed at him and was like, "David, you're not equipped to fight battle and go to war. He's been trained since his youth to war. You watch sheep. You can't do this." David nicely let Saul know of his background, that while he was tending sheep, he killed both a lion and a bear who was trying to take the sheep. He didn't allow what someone else thought of him to detract from who he knew he was and his capabilities. Another sidebar is here in your assignment that you're ultimately supposed to fulfill. You're always going to be prepped for where you will go now. And it's valuable to never, ever, ever dismiss that. You'll gain the skills that you need to do the thing that you need to do when it's time to do it. After hearing the story, Saul then agrees to let David fight Goliath. Now, what Saul decided to do was to give David his armor to wear so that he'd be in protection for battle. David put it on, and since he was a tiny young youth, he realized that he couldn't wear the armor. It was too much for him. He couldn't move in it right. It didn't fit. So he took the armor off and the tools that he was familiar with and he knew what to do with: a slingshot, 5 stones. Now, looking at this picture, a tiny teenager enters the battlefield with a slingshot and some stones to fight a 9-foot giant who is trained in the art of war. Crazy. But David walks on the field like a boss, filled with confidence in his ability and trusting in the Lord. And he went forth and proclaimed that he was going to kill the giant. And as he ran towards the giant, grabbed a stone, put it in the slingshot, slung it, and it hit the giant right in the middle of his forehead, the only place that was not properly covered. Giant falls to the ground. Little David runs over to the giant, grabs his sword, cuts his head smooth off. Now listen, victory for David came because he knew who he was, what he was truly capable of. And of course, he trusted in his God to be in the midst of him with battle. He didn't go to the battlefield with something that belonged to someone else, and he did not go the way someone else suggested. He knew his gifts, he knew his talent, and he went all in and conquered the giant in the way that was best for him. Right now, as you're going through any struggle or setback, you need to gird yourself with the knowledge of who you are and whose you are so you can operate in your true gifts and talents and conquer the things you need to conquer so you can succeed in every area of your life. Now, here's where the wonder begins. You have your journal or your notebook. What I want you to do is to list 10 things that you like and 5 things that you desire to have. When you start writing, if you go blank or you recognize that you're only thinking about things that other people have said they like and things that other people have said they want to do, it's time for you to go to work and dig deeper to really see who you are and what you want to do. Now, if you breeze through your list, you get all the way down and you're done, review each one and begin to ask yourself why you like what you wrote and why you desire what it is that you say you desire to have. If at any point you find that you're doing something that you deep down do not want to do, don't understand why you're doing it, stop and start focusing on living your life, doing the things that you enjoy to do. It's not to say that sometimes you won't have to do things that you don't like doing. That's just life. But you should focus on doing the things that bring you joy and not what someone else says you should do or what someone else says you should be. The other thing that you should do is to make a list of the habits that you have. Mark each habit as positive and negative. Then you're going to pick one habit at a time and work on it. It can be a positive habit that you want to further develop, or it can be a negative habit that you want to change. But whatever it is, pick one at a time, go down your list, and start revamping yourself to do some great things for you. At this moment, it doesn't matter where you find yourself in life. You must take time to learn who you are and who you are, to know what you're truly capable of and what you really want, so you can choose the path of success for your life and you can rock that thing out greatly. There's so much more surrounding this topic of breaking free, trust me. Discovering yourself and your true uniqueness is just the first step. And I would absolutely love to connect with you to help you flush things out if you desire that what you need to do in your life right now is to go further, to dig deeper, and to have more success in your life and to do it on your terms. So when you go to www.connectwithbre.com, that's connectwithbre.com, you'll be able to gain access to a complimentary 30-minute discovery session with me. And let me tell you, this little baby is packed with a mighty punch. You will leave the call knowing how to propel yourself to greater heights. This is a no fluff, no sales, straight knowledge, tools, and resources for you to have and to use. You'll also receive a handful of other goodies to help you along the way. I am so excited to be able to connect with you. I'm Dr. Breanna, the Boss James, aka Dr. Boss, founder and CEO of She Bossing Up. It's our mission to help high-achieving professional and entrepreneurial Christian women live their true self so they can honor God in their calling by boldly and unapologetically using their gifts and talents. I'm glad that you've taken the time out of your schedule to show up for this summit. I pray that you're able to boldly overcome struggles and setbacks as you positively transform yourself, body, occupation, soul, and spirit. Now go use your gifts and talents in excellence and with joy flowing from the inside. It's been a pleasure. Until next time, Be encouraged and choose to make it a great day. You are the comeback champion.